If you are eating well, paying attention to your health, paying attention to your nutrition, paying attention to something called strict liability, which means the athlete is responsible for everything he or she eats or drinks, you will have not a problem. All we ask for is a sample of urine.
The St. Kitts Nevis Football Association has declared the month of November as Anti-Doping Month. Educator, Executive Director of the Caribbean Regional Anti-Doping Organization, Tessa Chatterton-Shaw, had one simple message for the young footballers in St. Kitts and Nevis.
My message is targeted to the footballers, to you up-and-coming stars, up-and-coming elite footballers, the up-and-coming ambassadors of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. I not only speak to you as a representative of the Caribbean RADA, but I also speak to you as an educator. I've worked for the last 15, 16 years in drug and alcohol abuse, so there's nothing that I do not know. I know all about the street language. I know all about the combinations of the uppers and the downers. I have seen a lot of things, and I've seen a lot of men, young men's lives being wasted, ending up on the street, going through garbage, wasted, ending up in prison, wasted by being put down 6 feet under way too early. And I say to you this morning, whoever is out there encouraging you, when you go back to your communities, encouraging you to use a spliff, encouraging you to smoke a joint, encouraging you to mix some cocaine with marijuana, which is called a blackie, you will not get very far. You will certainly not get very far in football. So my plea is a simple one. Drugs, whether they are legal or illegal, they all change the way you think, you act, and behave. They all change the way you think, you act, and behave. Everything that we consume, everything that we eat or drink contains some form of chemical. When we are hungry, we're not as pleasant as we ought to be. But yet when we satisfy our stomachs and eat something, we feel different. There are chemical responses. A lot is happening in the brain. And I want you to know, and this is something I often tell young people, the human brain does not fully develop till the age of 20. I'm sure most of you in here are under 20. So if you start drinking alcohol, using drugs, you are actually damaging your brain's capacity to reach its full potential. Your brain weighs about 3 pounds, but yet it is responsible for everything that you do.
Chatterton-Shaw broke down the names of the drugs and alcohol being used in the world today.
So I want to break it down a little bit more for you in terms of the drugs I'm speaking of, and I'm referring to alcohol, things like rum and brandy, gin, vodka, but also the illegal stuff I mentioned before, marijuana, weed. Some people refer to something called Vincy Green, which is coming from St. Vincent, but also to other drugs like cocaine, which is a stimulant, and its derivative, crack. You simply cannot perform. Not meaning to be rude, but if you really think that you can be on top of your game on these substances, I could as well not be here. We could as well not be here, because it just can't happen. On many football fields, and I wish to underscore this as other speakers before me have said, on many football fields across the Caribbean, marijuana seems to be the drug of choice. It is a problem in my own home country. But I also want to mention power drinks and energy drinks like Monster and Red Bull. Mr. Green told us about Boom. These products, which are marketed well, they don't care about you and your performance on the field, but many males in your communities will encourage you to mix it with alcohol. In Barbados, it's mixed with sea moss and other derivatives to help you to put it back and increase your performance. But I want you to check the ingredients, read the labels. Be in total control of your destiny and your future. Don't give in to peer pressure. Sometimes you have to walk away from people who are feeding you with negative vibes and encouraging you to do the wrong thing.
The Minister of Sports in the Federal Parliament, Glenn Phillip, is calling on the St. Kitts Nevis Football Association to continue its fight against drugs in the Federation.
With WADA, with the IOC or FIFA's support, and it would be inane or illogical for the SKNFA to say that after this launch that they have done their part or rest on their laurels and wait for the challenges to disappear. All parties concerned with the fight against doping in sports must take their responsibilities and enthusiastically and consistently renew their commitment to the fight in all of its applications. We must recognize the human nature will guarantee we are dealing with a problem that will never be solved. However, we are in the contest that will never totally win. But going forward, we can get close to the victory if we constantly challenge ourselves and the potency of the program. If we use the collective wisdom effectively, particularly provided by science and social science, if we use the resources that sports and governments around the world provide, then that would remain today is the responsibility of keeping the momentum going forward and pressing forward on all fronts to further advance the fight for clean sport.
Winning at all costs is not an option. Those are the words coming from the Minister of Health in the Federal Parliament, Marcella Liebert.
I'm aware that as young people, you face tremendous pressure, especially when you're a good athlete. Every time you go onto the field, somebody wants you to perform like Pele. But it's not going to happen because you're a human being. And success, we all aim for 100% in everything we do. But if you do 99 or 90, that's success, you know, because that's where most people's success rate is. So you don't have to bow to pressures to perform all the time to your optimum best. You have to strive to do that. And so winning at all costs is not an option. We all must strive to win, but winning at all costs is not an option for us. And so we have to stay away from the doping. There are no shortcuts to success. Some people think so, but there are none. It's hard work, and you have to put it in, because what you put in is what you're going to get out of it. So you have to put it in. The formula for success, therefore, is self-respect, because if you respect yourself, you won't put these things into your bodies. Unfortunately, sometimes it is people like our coaches who we're very close to who encourage us to break the rules. And life is about rules. Any organization that wants to perform properly must operate on the rules. And sports is no exception. And so you have your rules in sports. And if you breach them, you have your rules in school. You have your rules at home. Some of these rules are not written rules. Because if your parents tell you you have to come in by 9 o'clock and you don't, you might be punished, because that's a rule and it's not written anywhere.
Minister of Health in the Federal Parliament, Marcella Liebert.